In the far reaches of the galaxy, the Galactic Empire stood as a monument to power. Stretching across 1,000 worlds, its massive fleets controlled every major star system with an iron fist. The Empire's reach was unparalleled, its technology far beyond anything that the majority of planets could even imagine. Its emperor ruled from a palace of obsidian and gold, untouched by time or the concerns of those beneath him. The galaxy's countless species had long accepted the rule of the Empire, and its word was law. One of these worlds, Earth, was far from the center of attention. Located in a backwater solar system, Earth was little more than a curiosity. Its inhabitants were still in the early stages of space exploration, a primitive species compared to the advanced civilizations of the Empire. Despite the advanced technology found elsewhere in the galaxy, Earth's scientists had barely scratched the surface. Their sun, a rather ordinary star named Sol, had been mostly ignored, considered harmless and insignificant by the Empire's advanced scanners. The Galactic Empire had only passed by Earth a handful of times, each time dispatching a small scout ship to monitor the planet's inhabitants. But those scouts had always returned with little more than reports on Earth's developing technology. There were no signs of extraterrestrial threats or anything that might pose a risk to the Empire. Earth was too small, too weak, and too distant to matter. However, something strange was happening in the Empire's quiet corner of the galaxy. The latest Imperial survey fleet was making its way through the outer reaches, heading toward a region of space that included Earth's solar system. The fleet was on its usual mission, surveying planets, cataloging resources, and keeping watch for any potential uprisings. This was routine, until one of the fleet's engineers noticed something on his readout. He stared at the data for a moment, unable to believe what he was seeing. According to the sensors, Sol, Earth's sun, was radiating slightly more energy than expected. It wasn't much, just a slight anomaly, but enough to pique his curiosity. He tapped on his console, cross-checking the data. The readings were accurate. The sun was pulsing with more energy than it should have been. It was nothing that warranted concern, but it was unusual enough to report. The engineer sent a message to his commander, a seasoned officer named Admiral Kaler, who was overseeing the mission. Kaler received the report and shrugged it off. The Empire had long considered Earth a harmless planet. There were no signs of rebellion, no weapons or technologies that could challenge the might of the Empire. A small fluctuation in solar radiation was no reason for alarm. "Send it to the database," Kaler said coldly. "If it becomes a problem, we'll deal with it later. Earth isn't worth our attention right now." The Admiral's response reflected the general attitude of the Empire toward Earth. It was a planet of no consequence, a world that had yet to prove its worth to the Galactic Order. The fleet continued its course without delay, the anomaly in Sol's energy output soon forgotten. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued as it had for centuries. The people of Earth were unaware of the Empire's existence, let alone the strange readings coming from their own sun. They were more focused on their daily struggles, advancing their technology, exploring the stars on their own terms, and dealing with the ongoing issues of climate change and resource depletion. What the people of Earth didn't know was that their sun, once considered harmless, was beginning to awaken in a way no one had ever anticipated. In secret, Earth's brightest minds had been working on a project of immense importance. For decades, scientists had been investigating the possibility of harnessing the sun's power in ways that would have been considered science fiction just a generation ago. This was no ordinary project. It was humanity's hope for survival, a way to protect Earth from the looming environmental disasters that threatened their future. The project, codenamed Sol Shift, was a bold experimental technology that would allow humanity to manipulate the very core of their sun. Using advanced quantum physics, the goal was to control the sun's energy output, directing solar radiation and energy with precision. It was a risky endeavor, one that could either save the planet or destroy it. But the scientists were driven by necessity. If they could control the sun, They could solve Earth's energy crisis, stabilize the planet's climate, and protect their civilization. The early stages of the Sol Shift project were kept secret from the public. Only a small group of scientists and military leaders knew the truth. Earth's governments, too, were unaware of the full potential of what their scientists had created. The project had been shrouded in secrecy, far beyond the reach of the Empire's intelligence networks. Back on the Imperial fleet, the anomaly continued to be ignored. Kaler and his crew focused on more pressing matters, unaware that their next visit to Earth would mark the beginning of an unprecedented change in the balance of power. It was a change that would soon send shockwaves through the galaxy. As the fleet moved closer to Earth's solar system, the small fluctuations in solar radiation grew stronger. The sun's energy output was no longer just a minor anomaly. It was growing, expanding, surging with new power. The scientists working on the Sol Shift project had made a breakthrough. They had unlocked a way to manipulate the sun's energy, and they had only just begun to tap into its potential. But as Earth's sun grew stronger, so did the danger. The Empire's disregard for Earth's insignificance was about to cost them dearly. A storm was brewing in the depths of space, one that would shake the Galactic Empire to its core. The Empire's fleet, still unaware of the brewing storm, would soon learn that they had vastly underestimated the power of a planet they had dismissed as insignificant. And Earth, with its harmless sun, was about to rise to a position of unimaginable power. The first tremors of change were already beginning, and nothing could stop what was about to happen next. The Empire's fleet was now deep within Earth's solar system, cruising toward the inner planets with little concern for what lay ahead. Admiral Kaler had long since forgotten about the strange readings from Sol. He focused on the bigger picture, the Empire's goals of domination and expansion. Earth was far from their most pressing issue, and Kaler had been reassured that there was nothing special about this primitive world. But soon, the Empire would realize how wrong they were. On Earth, however, a much different reality was unfolding. The Sol Shift project, created by Earth's brightest scientists, was in its final stages of testing. A select group of engineers, physicists, and military officers had been working tirelessly for years to harness the raw power of their sun. The goal was not to conquer other worlds, not to wage war with the Empire, but to save their own planet. Earth was facing a dire future. The planet's climate had become increasingly unstable, weather patterns had spiraled out of control, and energy resources were running dry. Humanity had tried every other method to solve the crisis: renewable energy, space colonization, geoengineering, but nothing seemed to be enough. The Earth's future seemed bleak. The Sol Shift project was their last hope. In the underground laboratories of the world's most advanced research facilities, scientists had unlocked a technology that allowed them to manipulate the very energy of Sol. By precisely controlling the sun's radiation and shifting its position, they could generate unlimited energy, reverse climate change, and even avert natural disasters. It was a miracle technology, one that could make Earth a paradise or destroy it completely if misused. At first, the Sol Shift project had been focused entirely on protecting Earth. The goal was to make Earth's sun a stable, controllable power source, keeping it within manageable boundaries to ensure survival. The project's success meant humanity could redirect the flow of solar energy, ensuring the planet's crops, ecosystems, and cities thrived without being ravaged by the devastating storms and heat waves that had been becoming more frequent. But as the scientists worked deeper into their project, they discovered something far greater. The technology they had developed was not just about controlling the sun, it was about altering it. By shifting the very core of Sol, they could change the sun's energy output on a galactic scale. With enough precision, they could direct the sun's heat and radiation to anywhere in the galaxy. The implications were enormous. They could reshape the course of their civilization and even challenge the might of the Empire. But that revelation was kept from the world. Most of humanity had no idea how close they were to something world-changing, something beyond their wildest dreams. The public continued to live their lives, unaware that their planet was on the brink of becoming the most powerful force in the galaxy. The military and a few high-ranking leaders, however, were aware of the potential danger. It was in these high offices, behind closed doors, that Earth's leaders debated their next move. The project was a success, but how could they use it? Could they afford to risk revealing such a powerful weapon to the galaxy? And if the Empire found out about it, would they come to Earth's doorstep and attempt to seize the technology for themselves? The Empire's scouts, unknowingly closing in on Earth, were oblivious to the storm brewing on this otherwise ordinary planet. They were still focused on the minor fluctuations in Sol's energy output. The Empire had no idea that they were about to cross paths with humanity's greatest invention. Meanwhile, across the Earth, the scientists working on Sol's shift pushed their research forward, excited and fearful at once. They had tested the system, shifting the sun's energy output in small controlled bursts, and had begun seeing impressive results. Earth's atmosphere began to stabilize. Weather patterns slowly corrected themselves. The deserts began to recede, and rain fell where it was needed most. The world was healing, thanks to the manipulation of their sun. But there was another side to the coin. The technology was volatile. If the sun were shifted too far, the results could be catastrophic. A mistake could lead to an unstoppable solar flare, the destruction of Earth's atmosphere, or even the destabilization of the solar system itself. Yet, despite these risks, the scientists were determined to move forward. Earth had no other choice. One day, while running a routine test, something unexpected occurred. A small error in the system caused the sun to pulse with energy far beyond the intended limits. For a brief moment, Sol flared up, sending waves of radiation through the system. Earth's scientists watched in horror as the sun seemed to grow brighter, more intense. But then something strange happened. Instead of causing destruction, the burst of energy triggered something far more powerful, a chain reaction that spread across the solar system. It was then that they realized the full potential of the Sol shift technology. They weren't just manipulating the sun, they were bending the very fabric of space-time itself. Sol's energy could be directed in ways that could affect entire star systems, not just Earth. They could manipulate gravity fields, warp space, and even influence the movement of planets. Humanity had just unlocked a power that could alter the balance of the entire galaxy. The scientists immediately recognized the danger this posed. They had no idea who or what might come looking for such a power, but they understood the consequences of revealing it to the wrong people. The Empire had no idea what was coming. But humanity, for the first time in history, had a chance to fight back against an overwhelmingly powerful foe. They could now change the game, and they could do it from the most unlikely of positions, their harmless sun. As the test concluded and the sun began to return to its normal state, the scientists exchanged uneasy glances. What they had done could either be their salvation or their doom. It was too powerful to ignore. They knew they had to take action, but what action? At that moment, the first signs of the Empire's arrival began to appear. Deep in the solar system, the Empire's fleet began to send out probes. They were closing in on Earth, but Earth was ready. For the first time, the people of Earth held the cards in their hands. Their sun had begun to move, not in the way anyone expected, but in the way that would change everything. The Empire's fleet had entered the outskirts of Earth's solar system. It had been a routine mission at first, nothing out of the ordinary, just another surveying mission to maintain control over the far reaches of the galaxy. The fleet's commander, Admiral Kaler, sat in his command chair aboard the lead ship, the Dominion, staring at the view screen as the planets of the solar system slowly came into view. Everything seemed calm. The stars twinkled silently beyond the hull of their ships. Earth's system appeared to be just as insignificant as always, but the small anomaly that had once been reported to him, the strange energy fluctuation from Sol, had begun to feel more important as they got closer. The Empire's scientists had dismissed it as a fluke. It was not something worth investigating, especially with the mission at hand. Yet Kaler couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. "Admiral, we've entered the outer orbit of Earth," the officer at the communications station said, breaking Kaler's thoughts. "Shall we continue with the plan to scan the planet?" "Proceed," Kaler replied, his voice cold. "Earth is no threat to us. Let's finish this quickly." He could not have known how wrong he was. The Empire's fleet was equipped with some of the most advanced technology in the galaxy, designed to detect the faintest signals from distant stars and planets. Their scanners were powerful enough to detect even the smallest fluctuation in solar energy. As the fleet moved deeper into the solar system, the scanners began picking up odd readings from Sol once again. This time, it was more than just a blip. A steady, unnatural pulse of energy emanated from the sun. The chief scientist aboard the fleet, Dr. Silas Drek, a sharp, calculating mind, was the first to notice. He had spent years studying stars and stellar mechanics, but what he was seeing now didn't fit any pattern he knew. Something was off with Sol. It was radiating more energy than it should, and it was moving. "Admiral, you need to see this," Drek said, rushing to Keller's side. The scientist pointed at the holographic display, where a series of graphs and energy readings flashed before the Admiral's eyes. "What am I looking at, Drek?" Kaler asked, his tone growing impatient. "Sol's energy output is increasing. It's not just a matter of radiation. It's something else. The entire star is shifting. Its position in space is changing." Kaler's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Shifting? The sun can't just shift. Stars don't move like that. Are you sure about these readings?" "I'm certain," Drek replied. "The data is clear. The star is warping its energy fields, and it's changing something in its orbit. I've never seen anything like this before." Kaler narrowed his eyes. He had seen many things in his time serving the Empire, technologies beyond the comprehension of most. But this was something entirely new. Earth's sun could not possibly be doing what Drek was suggesting. It was impossible. Could it be some form of natural anomaly? Kaler asked, trying to make sense of the situation. "No, Admiral," Drek answered. "This is no natural occurrence. The sun is not only emitting more energy, but its position seems to be shifting, as if someone is controlling it. Someone, or something." Kaler's heart skipped a beat. The idea that someone, on Earth was manipulating their sun was preposterous. But the evidence before him was irrefutable. The readings were growing stronger with each passing moment, and the sun seemed to grow brighter. The Admiral looked at the view screen, where Earth came into full view. He studied the planet for a moment, wondering what could possibly be causing this strange phenomenon. He had written off Earth as a backwater world, a planet that was too primitive to pose any kind of threat. But if what Drek was saying was true, then Earth had something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. "Get a fleet of scout ships to the planet immediately," Kaler ordered. "I want boots on the ground. I need answers." The fleet dispatched several scout ships toward Earth, while Kaler continued to monitor the energy fluctuations. He knew something was amiss, but he still could not comprehend the scale of what was unfolding. His mind raced through every possibility. Could the humans have discovered some form of weaponry capable of manipulating stellar bodies? The Empire had overlooked Earth for so long, assuming its technology was far too underdeveloped to pose any real challenge. But if Earth had unlocked the ability to control their sun, then it was a game changer. Meanwhile, on Earth, the scientists working on the Sol Shift project had no idea the Empire was closing in. They were focused on refining the technology, pushing it to its limits in an effort to save their planet. The Sol Shift system had been operating with greater precision, and the planet's climate was stabilizing. For the first time in years, there were signs of hope for humanity's survival. However, the scientists had also begun to notice strange changes in the system. The sun's energy output was not only stabilizing Earth's climate, but it was also growing more potent with every passing day. There were whispers among the researchers that the system might be capable of much more than just saving the planet. Could it be used for something greater? As the Empire's scout ships neared Earth, they prepared to land. But there was something else, something that made the humans' secret project even more dangerous. The Sol shift technology wasn't just about controlling the sun anymore. It was evolving. And as the fleet closed in on the planet, the humans were about to take their first step into a new age of unimaginable power. The Empire had underestimated Earth, and now, as the sun continued to shift, the first tremors of a galactic reckoning began to shake the foundations of the Empire. The battle for control of the galaxy was about to take an unexpected turn. The Empire's fleet had now entered Earth's orbit, and its ships loomed over the planet like dark clouds on a bright day. Admiral Kaler stood in the command room of the Dominion, his gaze fixed on the view screen. The presence of the fleet was overwhelming, a massive, intimidating force that could easily wipe out any resistance. But Earth had done something that no one expected. It had begun manipulating its sun. "Prepare the landing teams," Kaler ordered. "We need to secure control of this planet's resources and determine the source of these disturbances. I want answers, now." The fleet's scout ships descended toward the planet, their sleek bodies cutting through space with ease. The soldiers within them were well-trained, hardened by years of service under the Empire's command. They were ready for any challenge, prepared to face whatever Earth had to offer. What they didn't know was that the moment they landed, everything would change. On Earth, the Sol Shift Project's creators were in the final stages of preparation. The last few tests had shown promising results, but they knew something had to be done quickly. Word had spread among the top government officials that the Empire's scouts were coming. The threat of invasion was no longer a distant concern. It was real, and it was happening. General Area Matthews, one of Earth's military leaders, stood before the council in a secret underground base. Her face was serious as she addressed the room. "We've reached a point where we can no longer just defend ourselves. The Empire has underestimated us, but that's about to change. We cannot let them take this technology. If we do, Earth is finished." "We can't fight the Empire with conventional weapons," said a scientist named Dr. Han Lai, who had been a major contributor to the Sol Shift Project. His voice was calm, but filled with urgency. "But we don't need conventional weapons. We've learned how to control the sun, and if we need to, we can use it as a weapon." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. General Matthews nodded grimly. She understood the gravity of the decision. It was a risk, but there was no other choice. The Empire was coming for them, and Earth's survival depended on one thing: a strike before they were crushed. "We're not going to wait for them to land. We'll hit them before they even reach the surface," General Matthews said. "Activate Sol Shift. It's time to show them what Earth is capable of." As the scientists worked quickly to activate the system, the Empire's scout ships neared Earth's surface. They could see the vast cities sprawling beneath them, the oceans shimmering blue under the sunlight. Everything appeared peaceful, normal. The scouts were ready to land, thinking they would easily take control of the planet and gather data. They had no idea that the moment their feet touched the ground, they would be facing a new kind of war, a war that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. Just as the first scout ship descended into Earth's atmosphere, the Sol Shift system was fully engaged. Across the world, energy began to build. Earth's scientists had figured out how to control the flow of solar radiation, and now they were about to use it with deadly precision. The moment the system activated, a surge of energy rippled through the solar system. Sol pulsed with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. The Empire's ships, even in orbit, could feel the disruption in their systems. The immense gravitational field surrounding the sun suddenly shifted, creating massive distortions in space. A shockwave of energy raced through the planets, shaking everything in its path. The first fleet of scout ships, still in the lower atmosphere, began to experience violent turbulence. Their shields flickered as they struggled to maintain stability. Kaler watched in shock as the screens showed their ships being rattled by the immense forces emanating from the sun. "Admiral, our ships, something's happening to the fleet," one of the officers cried, panic creeping into their voice. Kaler's face turned pale. This was no ordinary attack. The very fabric of space around them seemed to be warping. They were being caught in the gravitational pull of Sol's shifting energy fields. "Revert course now," Kaler commanded. But it was too late. The scout ships in the lower atmosphere were already experiencing catastrophic failures. One by one, their engines sputtered and cut out, the ships spiraling out of control as they plunged back toward the surface. The Empire's fleet was reeling from the effects of the sudden solar disruption, and its soldiers were caught in a battle they were unprepared for. On Earth, the Sol shift system continued to amplify its power. The sun had become a weapon, and it was focused entirely on the Empire's ships. As the scout ships crashed into the Earth's surface, massive solar flares erupted from Sol, their energy pouring through space like a flood of destruction. These were no ordinary flares. They were focused beams of intense heat and radiation, aimed directly at the Empire's ships. In moments, the First Fleet was obliterated. Solar radiation washed over the wreckage of the scout ships, their metal frames burning away under the sun's destructive heat. The Empire's soldiers, who had once been confident in their superiority, now lay scattered across Earth's surface, powerless against the wrath of a sun that had been awakened and controlled by humanity. Admiral Kaler, watching the destruction unfold from orbit, knew that things had escalated beyond what he could control. Earth had just delivered a message to the Empire, one that would not be easily forgotten. The fleet had suffered its first blow, and Kaler knew that the remaining ships would face the same fate if they didn't retreat. He ordered an immediate withdrawal, but as the fleet turned away from Earth, Kaler's mind was filled with a single, terrifying thought. The Empire had underestimated this planet. They had thought Earth's technology was primitive, its sun harmless. Now, they knew better. The war had begun, and it was a war Earth was ready for. The Empire's fleet had barely managed to escape the destruction that Earth had unleashed. As the last scout ship limped away from the planet, its crew shaken and battered, Admiral Kaler seethed with anger. Earth's unexpected counterattack had been devastating, faster than he could have imagined, and far more powerful. They had underestimated this planet, and now they were paying the price. "Admiral, the fleet is damaged, and several ships have been lost. The energy surge from the sun. It's unlike anything we've ever seen," one of his officers reported, her voice filled with disbelief. Kaler's jaw tightened. "We need to regroup, and we need to learn more about this technology. Prepare the remaining ships for full-scale combat. We cannot let Earth's rebellion go unpunished." But Kaler knew deep down that something had changed. Earth wasn't just another backwater planet anymore. It had become a force to be reckoned with. And now, the Empire was on the defensive. Back on Earth, the victory was met with a mixture of relief and fear. General Area Matthews watched as the images of the destroyed Empire ships flashed on the screen in the command center. It was a moment of triumph, but it came with a heavy cost. The Empire wouldn't give up so easily. "We've delivered a blow to the Empire, but this isn't over," Matthews said, her voice firm. "They'll be back. We need to prepare for the next battle. This time, we can't rely on surprise." Dr. Han Lai, one of the leading scientists behind the Sol Shift project, nodded in agreement. "We have the technology, but we don't fully understand it. We need more time to refine the system before we can use it again. The power of the sun is unpredictable. It's dangerous." "We don't have that luxury," Matthews replied. "If we wait too long, the Empire will return in full force. We need to act now while we still have the advantage." The decision was made. Earth would prepare for the Empire's inevitable retaliation, and they would use the power of the sun to fight back. But the Sol Shift technology, while powerful, was still in its early stages. The scientists worked tirelessly, trying to refine it and make it more stable. They had learned a lot from the first use, but they still faced many unknowns. The risk of using it again was enormous. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the Empire, a new plan was taking shape. After the disastrous failure of their first assault, the Imperial High Command convened in secret. Kaler was furious, but he knew that the Empire couldn't afford to underestimate Earth any longer. "We need a new strategy," Kaler said, pacing back and forth in the war room. "The attack on the scout ships was a fluke. We can't rely on conventional tactics anymore. We need to neutralize the source of the problem, the technology that Earth has unlocked." "What do you propose, Admiral?" an officer asked. "I'll lead a direct assault," Kaler replied. "This time, we'll target the Sol shift system itself. We'll strike the heart of their operations before they can activate it again." The decision was made quickly. Kaler would personally lead an assault on Earth's most secure facility, the place where the Sol shift project had been developed. If the Empire could destroy that facility and take control of the technology, they would end Earth's rebellion once and for all. Kaler's fleet, now fully repaired, prepared for the second wave. The Empire would not be caught off guard again. The scouts' failure had cost them dearly, but they were determined to finish what they had started. On Earth, the countdown to the Empire's return was already underway. General Matthews had assembled the best of Earth's military forces, and they were preparing for the most critical battle of their existence. The threat of the Empire was looming large, and the Sol shift technology was their last hope. "We have one chance at this," Matthews told her commanders. "We cannot let them destroy the Sol shift facility. If they succeed, they'll not only take our son, they'll take our future." The plan was simple but dangerous. Matthews and her team would use the Sol shift system to create a massive burst of energy that would disrupt the Empire's fleet. They would target the Empire's ships before they could reach the facility, buying enough time for the defense teams to secure the area. As the day of battle approached, the tension on Earth was palpable. People went about their daily routines, but there was an unspoken understanding among them. They were all part of something much bigger. The fight for Earth's future wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the survival of their way of life. And then the Empire's fleet arrived. Kaler's ships descended upon Earth, their massive forms casting long shadows over the planet. This time, they came prepared. The battle was about to begin. The first wave of the Empire's fleet arrived in Earth's atmosphere with terrifying speed. Earth's defense systems, though strong, were no match for the sheer size and power of the Empire's ships. But the humans had something the Empire didn't: the Sol shift technology. "Activate the system," Matthews ordered. Now, the scientists quickly engaged the Sol shift system, and the sun began to pulse with energy once more. The surge was immediate. Massive solar flares erupted from Sol, sending waves of heat and radiation in the direction of the incoming fleet. The Empire's ships were caught off guard, their shields failing under the intensity of the blast. The flares, focused with pinpoint precision, struck their targets, causing explosions across the fleet. Admiral Kaler watched in disbelief as his ships were torn apart by the solar fury unleashed by Earth. His fleet, once so confident and powerful, was now being obliterated. But the battle was far from over. He clenched his fists and gave the order. "All remaining ships, prepare for full assault. We'll take Earth, no matter what." The fight had just begun. The battle in Earth's atmosphere raged on. The Empire's fleet, once proud and mighty, was now struggling against the raw power of the sun. Admiral Kaler's ships had been damaged beyond repair, and what remained of his fleet was scattered across the skies above Earth. Despite their technology and might, the Empire was being overpowered by the very star they had once considered harmless. But Kaler wasn't ready to admit defeat. He stood in the command center of the Dominion, his fists clenched, watching the view screen as his remaining ships fought to hold their ground. "This is not over," Kaler growled. "Order the fleet to regroup. We will take control of Earth, even if we have to crush them beneath our boots. The officer next to him hesitated. Admiral, we've lost half our fleet already. The Sol shift system. Its power is unlike anything we've ever seen. We cannot continue like this. Kaler's eyes narrowed. We don't have a choice. The only way we win is to destroy the source of their power, the Sol shift system itself. We will take out their facilities and seize control of their technology. Once we control the sun, they will be powerless. He turned toward the officer and barked, "Prepare my shuttle. I will lead the ground assault. We will destroy the Sol shift facility before they can activate it again." Back on Earth, General Area Matthews and her team were preparing for the final battle. The Empire's fleet had been badly damaged, but Earth's victory was not guaranteed. The Empire was ruthless, and they would not give up easily. "We fought off their first wave," Matthews said to her commanders, "but they're not going to stop. The Empire won't retreat until they have the technology, and we need to be ready to defend it at all costs." Dr. Hanley, one of the leading scientists behind the Sol Shift project, nodded. "The system is unstable. We've pushed it to its limits, but we don't fully understand the technology. If we activate it again, there's no telling what could happen." "We don't have time to think about that," Matthews said firmly. "The Empire is coming for us. The Sol Shift system is the only thing that can protect us, and we must use it one more time." As the fleet above Earth continued to engage in a fierce battle, Matthews turned to her officers. "Prepare the ground teams. We need to hold the Sol Shift facility at all costs. If they get through to it, it's over for us." Meanwhile, Kaler's shuttle had descended through Earth's atmosphere, its destination clear. He was headed straight for the heart of the Sol Shift project, a hidden facility buried deep beneath the surface. It was Earth's most secure location, protected by layers of defense and surrounded by a network of underground tunnels. If the Empire could destroy this facility, Earth's sun would lose its most powerful weapon. As Kaler's shuttle touched down, he stepped out, surveying the landscape around him. The ground was still shaking from the battle above, but he could see the high-tech defenses of the facility in the distance. He smirked, confident that the Empire's superior technology would overwhelm any human attempts to stop him. "Admiral, we've reached the facility," his lieutenant said, standing at attention. "We're ready to breach." "Good," Kaler replied coldly. "Prepare the troops. We take this place, and we take control of the sun." But Earth's defenses were ready. The soldiers inside the facility had been waiting for this moment, and they knew that their only chance for survival was to keep the Empire from getting any closer to the Sol Shift system. General Matthews and her team were already positioned, waiting for Kaler's forces to make their move. "They're here," Matthews said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "They won't stop until they have what they came for. We need to hold them off long enough for the sun to finish what we started." The sound of heavy boots echoed through the tunnels as Kaler's troops advanced, weapons drawn. They had fought their way through Earth's defenses before, and they would do it again. They were soldiers of the Empire, trained to conquer, to win. But as they reached the entrance to the Sol Shift facility, they encountered fierce resistance. Earth's soldiers, though outnumbered, fought with determination. They knew they had only one chance to save their planet. The gunfire echoed through the tunnels, and explosions rang out as both sides clashed in a violent, desperate battle. Kaler's forces pushed forward, but they were met with unexpected resistance. Earth's soldiers fought not just for survival, but for the future of their entire species. They knew that the outcome of this battle would decide the fate of the planet. If the Empire succeeded, Earth would be nothing more than a colony, an insignificant world under Imperial rule. But Matthews and her team were prepared to do whatever it took to stop that from happening. They knew the risks of activating the Sol Shift system again, but they also knew it was their only chance. "Activate the system," Matthews ordered. "We're going to give them a fight they'll never forget." As the scientists worked quickly to power up the Sol Shift system, the battle raged on. Kaler's forces were inching closer to the heart of the facility, But the defense teams were relentless. The tunnels shook with the force of explosions, and the ground cracked as the battle intensified. Then, just as Kaler's forces reached the final level of the facility, Earth's scientists activated the Sol shift system once again. The sun, already powerful, flared with a blinding light. A pulse of energy shot outward, destabilizing the entire facility. The solar flares that had once destroyed the Empire's scout ships now turned into a focused beam of destruction, aimed directly at Kaler's forces. The Empire's soldiers were caught off guard. The blast struck with incredible force, sending them flying backward as the facility crumbled around them. Kaler, standing at the entrance, watched in horror as the sun's power surged again, more intense than ever before. He had underestimated Earth. Now, Earth's last stand had become their victory. Kaler turned and fled, knowing that the Empire had no chance of defeating the sun itself. The battle was over, but Earth had won. The sun blazed above Earth, its power now fully under humanity's control. In a matter of days, the Empire had been forced to retreat, its fleet shattered, and its forces scattered. Earth had achieved the impossible. Against all odds, they had held their ground, and in doing so secured their future. General Area Matthews stood in the war room, looking at the reports coming in from all over the planet. The damage caused by the Empire's assault was significant, but Earth had survived. She let out a deep breath, knowing that this was only the beginning of a new chapter for humankind. The threat of the Empire had been crushed, but Earth's victory had come at a high cost. As the fleet above Earth continued to engage in a fierce battle, Matthews turned to her officers. "Prepare the ground teams. We need to hold the Sol shift facility at all costs. If they get through to it, it's over for us." Meanwhile, Kaler's shuttle had descended through Earth's atmosphere, its destination clear. He was headed straight for the heart of the Sol shift project, a hidden facility buried deep beneath the surface. It was Earth's most secure location, protected by layers of defense and surrounded by a network of underground tunnels. If the Empire could destroy this facility, Earth's sun would lose its most powerful weapon. As Kaler's shuttle touched down, he stepped out, surveying the landscape around him. The ground was still shaking from the battle above, but he could see the high-tech defenses of the facility in the distance. He smirked, confident that the Empire's superior technology would overwhelm any human attempts to stop him. "Admiral, we've reached the facility," his lieutenant said, standing at attention. "We're ready to breach." "Good," Kaler replied coldly. "Prepare the troops. We take this place, and we take control of the sun." But Earth's defenses were ready. The soldiers inside the facility had been waiting for this moment, and they knew that their only chance for survival was to keep the Empire from getting any closer to the Sol shift system. General Matthews and her team were already positioned, waiting for Kaler's forces to make their move. "They're here," Matthews said, her voice calm but filled with urgency. "They won't stop until they have what they came for. We need to hold them off long enough for the sun to finish what we started." The sound of heavy boots echoed through the tunnels as Kaler's troops advanced, weapons drawn. They had fought their way through Earth's defenses before, and they would do it again. They were soldiers of the Empire, trained to conquer, to win. But as they reached the entrance to the Sol shift facility, they encountered fierce resistance. Earth's soldiers, though outnumbered, fought with determination. They knew they had only one chance to save their planet. The gunfire echoed through the tunnels, and explosions rang out as both sides clashed in a violent, desperate battle. Kaler's forces pushed forward, but they were met with unexpected resistance. Earth's soldiers fought not just for survival, but for the future of their entire species. They knew that the outcome of this battle would decide the fate of the planet. If the Empire succeeded, Earth would be nothing more than a colony, an insignificant world under imperial rule. But Matthews and her team were prepared to do whatever it took to stop that from happening. They knew the risks of activating the Sol shift system again, but they also knew it was their only chance. "Activate the system," Matthews ordered. We're going to give them a fight they'll never forget. As the scientists worked quickly to power up the Sol shift system, the battle raged on. Kaler's forces were inching closer to the heart of the facility, but the defense teams were relentless. The tunnels shook with the force of explosions, and the ground cracked as the battle intensified. Then, just as Kaler's forces reached the final level of the facility, Earth's scientists activated the Sol shift system once again. The sun, already powerful, flared with a blinding light. A pulse of energy shot outward, destabilizing the entire facility. The solar flares that had once destroyed the Empire's scout ships now turned into a focused beam of destruction, aimed directly at Kaler's forces. The Empire's soldiers were caught off guard. The blast struck with incredible force, sending them flying backward as the facility crumbled around them. Kaler, standing at the entrance, watched in horror as the sun's power surged again, more intense than ever before. He had underestimated Earth. Now, Earth's last stand had become their victory. Kaler turned and fled, knowing that the Empire had no chance of defeating the sun itself. The battle was over, but Earth had won. The sun blazed above Earth, its power now fully under humanity's control. In a matter of days, the Empire had been forced to retreat, its fleet shattered, and its forces scattered. Earth had achieved the impossible. Against all odds, they had held their ground, and in doing so, secured their future. General Area Matthews stood in the war room, looking at the reports coming in from all over the planet. The damage caused by the Empire's assault was significant, but Earth had survived. She let out a deep breath, knowing that this was only the beginning of a new chapter for humankind. The threat of the Empire had been crushed, but Earth's victory had come at a high cost. "We did it," Matthews whispered to herself, but there was no time for celebration. There was still much work to be done. The Sol shift technology, the source of the power that had saved them, was still in its early stages. The human race had barely begun to understand its full potential, and the consequences of its misuse were something that would need careful thought. Dr. Hanley, the brilliant scientist who had played a key role in developing the Sol shift project, entered the room. His face was tired, but there was a sense of hope in his eyes. "General, we've managed to stabilize the system. The sun is under control, and we've learned a great deal from the battle. But we still need to proceed with caution. The power we wield is immense." Matthews nodded. "I know, but Earth has survived. We've proven we can fight back, and we've shown the galaxy that we're not to be underestimated." As Earth's leaders and scientists worked to secure the future of the Sol shift system, the remnants of the Empire's forces limped away from the solar system. They were broken, their confidence shattered. They had thought that conquering Earth would be an easy task, but what they had encountered was something far beyond their expectations. The sun, once seen as a simple source of energy, had become Earth's weapon, and the Empire's technology had been powerless against it. Admiral Kaler, aboard the Dominion, sat in his command chair, his hands gripping the arms tightly. His mind raced with thoughts of failure and humiliation. He had underestimated Earth, and now he was paying the price. His fleet had been shattered, his forces decimated, and the planet he had sought to conquer had not only defended itself, but had turned the very sun into a weapon of unimaginable power. "We underestimated them," Kaler said quietly, his voice filled with bitterness. His lieutenant stood beside him, looking at the view screen. "Admiral, what do we do now? We've lost everything." Kaler's gaze was cold. "We regroup. Earth will not remain free forever. We will return, stronger, better prepared. And when we do, we will take what is rightfully ours. The sun will be ours to control." But deep inside, Kaler knew that the next time they faced Earth, things would be different. Earth had discovered the key to their survival, and the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. Back on Earth, the celebrations were modest but heartfelt. People all over the planet rejoiced in their victory, but there was no sense of arrogance. They had survived, but they knew the fight was far from over. The Empire was still out there, and it would not forget this defeat. But for the first time, Earth's people felt a new sense of unity, a feeling that they could stand together against any threat, no matter how powerful. General Matthews watched the celebrations from the balcony of the war room, looking out at the peaceful world below. The streets were filled with people celebrating their survival, but there was no question in her mind that the battle was not yet won. Earth had only just begun to understand the true power it held. "We've done it," Matthews said softly to Dr. Hanley, who had joined her at the balcony. "We've won the first battle. But what happens now?" Dr. Lai looked out at the horizon, where the sun hung brightly in the sky. "Now we begin a new era. We must learn to harness the power we've uncovered and use it wisely. We cannot let greed or fear control us. This technology, this power, must be used to protect, not to dominate." Matthews nodded. "We will be careful. But one thing is certain. Earth will never be the same again. We've proven that we can fight back. We've proven that we are strong." As Earth's leaders came together to plan for the future, they began to understand the true implications of their victory. The Empire had not only underestimated them, but they had also given Earth a gift, an incredible power that could shape the future of the entire galaxy. But with that power came responsibility. The Sol Shift system was humanity's greatest achievement, but it also held the potential for destruction if used recklessly. In the days that followed, Earth began to rebuild. The wounds from the battle would take time to heal, but the people were resilient. The Empire had come to take their planet, but they had been forced to retreat. And now, Earth would turn its attention to its future, a future where the sun was no longer just a distant star, but a symbol of humanity's strength and resilience. As Earth's leaders gathered to discuss their next steps, General Matthews looked out at the sun once more, knowing that it would be their greatest ally in the battles to come. The Empire might return, but Earth would be ready. They had learned to wield the power of the sun, and they would protect their world at all costs. The war had ended, but the true journey had just begun.